This stage begins with 5 hanging plates at 100 yards. The shooter then has to get 2 hits on a silhouette at 200 yards, then 1 hit on a target at 300, and another hit on a target at 400. There's 1 mandatory close-range paper rifle target that I use my offset red dot to engage before transitioning to the shotgun to engage 2 slug plates at about 75 yards.
1, 2, 1, 2.
I reload with a magazine of 20 birdshot, which is more than enough to complete the shotgun portion of the stage. Coaching is allowed at this match, and I am paying attention to it so I don't leave a steel hidden behind one of these barrels as I advance through the course. Firearms can be abandoned on safe or completely empty. Now I use my PCC to engage what would normally be the pistol targets on the stage. USPSA paper require 1 A-zone or 2 hits anywhere. Static steel plates require 2 hits. Spinners must rotate. Falling steel must fall. Always reload with a full magazine before engaging a spinner. The PCC allows me to just hammer this, and I get it over in one presentation. And for this final target, I transition shoulders to my right shoulder. It's too much of a lean to do it off my left shoulder.
Shoot ready! Stand by! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2. It's 3. It's 4. Go right. Hit. Hustle. Downhill. High. Still out.
kill! Triple kill!
That shot, gotta put it in the box.
Two. 1, 2. One, two. Over. If you are done, unload from clear. All right, you just watched stage 3 of High Desert 3-Gun 2019. That was our second stage of the match. I'm Russell Fagan, aka Sinistral Rifleman, and the InRange patrons, Joe, Jorge, Jay, and Austin, are joining me to discuss our experience at the match this year. So I think the interesting thing on this stage was that we started having some bad weather about halfway through it. So about half of our shooters had to deal with high winds and some rain, and the rest of us got to shoot it in relatively calm conditions. So I shot early in the squad and fortunately didn't have to deal with the high wind and had a pretty good time on this one. How'd it work out for you guys?
I shot nearly dead last. And I live in a very northern state, so a lot of the time of the year we get snow. We get snow from about September to May, and I force myself to go out shooting in inclement weather. -20, snow, winds, rain. So I didn't find that the rain or wind was distracting because I go out and practice in bad weather regularly. So for me it seemed normal, and it didn't rattle or shake my skills or the stage for me.
Yeah, well, where I'm from, the snow is imported from Latin America, so that's just not something I usually deal with. And you know, in my new home state of Arizona, there's not a whole lot of rain, but there is wind. And this is probably the first match that really had to compensate for wind at distance. It was really blowing hard out there. I was shooting 55 grain XM193, not exactly known for bucking the wind, but I was able to figure that out on the clock. Took me a few extra shots. The stage sort of came unglued for me later, where down up on some of the close range targets, I had to go back once or twice to hit a few of those, to engage a few of those, and I just outright missed the first PCC target, which is actually right in front of where you pick your PCC up. It seems like a simple error, but just, if you're in the heat of the moment, it could happen to anyone.
Well, I think something the viewers should understand is when you have stages with this many targets on them, memorizing what you're supposed to do can be very challenging, and that's why coaching is in fact allowed at this event, because memorizing the stages for most people is very difficult. For me, on some of the stages, it's very difficult to memorize, and I kind of chunk it more into, from this area I'm going to shoot this gun, from this area I'm going to shoot this gun, from this area I'm going to shoot this gun, but memorizing the exact target engagement sequences is challenging. What you can try to do is know how many targets you have to shoot and kind of count them as you go through the stage, knowing that, okay, I have 2 targets left, I got 1 target left, that sort of thing. But compared to Desert Brutality that some of you might have watched before, the penalties at this event are pretty mild. So a failure to neutralize, meaning a single non-neutralizing hits, only +5, an unhit targets +10, and a failure to engage, which you're talking about, you didn't shoot at all, is +15. So on a 120 to 180 second stage,
it doesn't really kill your score the way it would at the Desert Brutality series where it's plus 60 for any of those things.
Yeah, I think my score with penalties was in the 210s, I think, maybe a little more. I'd have to look at the numbers, but yeah, it's beyond just numbers though. I didn't feel like I performed at the level I should have, which ultimately in these matches you're really competing against yourself. I would give myself maybe a C plus or a B minus on that, but it is what it is.
Jay.
So for me as a brand new shooter, this stage was a lot more complex than the one previous. And having very little experience in stage planning in general and having no experience prior to the previous stage in multi-gun, I was completely flustered in the stage. Just the transitioning from the long range at the rock downhill, like that was just, from that point on, my brain just stopped functioning, and I couldn't like comprehend what I'm supposed to shoot at with what firearm. And in the end, the RO was telling me, you got to shoot this one with this, that one, it's over there to your right, to your left. And a lot of the targets that I shot at were the very first time I've shot at it. As the spinner, I didn't know you could shoot it when it turned around and the backside was red. I thought you were only supposed to shoot at the white side. So I spent a lot of time on that. And in the end, I timed out at the very end, at the last two target, just because I was not able to basically function and shoot effectively, and I was dragged through by the RO telling me, over there. And, it is what it is. I've learned from that, but at the same time, because of the complexity, I don't think I was able to really bring a lot of what I've learned into the future matches. I mean, the future stages.
All right.
So again, I'm gonna go kind of on what Jorge was saying about XM 193. I was shooting out of a 12.5-inch barrel with a red dot out to, I don't know, what was the furthest distance?
400 required.
So I got multiple FTNs on those rifle targets. Really anything past 200. So I think the 300 and 400 I got FTNs on. Shotgun, it went all right. I'm running a tube-fed shotgun because it's what I have, and seeing the 590M, it's pretty nice. minus the few meg issues.
We'll get to those on some of the upcoming stage
those
videos.
Are mostly our own user error.
I need another drink for that one.
But yeah, so again, like a year and a half out of shotgun practice made it kind of difficult to reload in the move, fumbling around, dropping shells on the ground, stuff like that. And then PCC, it's fine. I mean, I'm pretty confident with my PCC. I've, probably like 12,000 rounds now in it, and shot a couple or at least one major match, and probably 20 or so USPSA matches with it. So I'm pretty confident with my skills in that one. So I mean, that 1/3 of the stages was pretty easy. So
Your reloads on that MP5 are lightning. You have clearly practiced that a lot. Most people that use the MP5 fumble around with it, and they take a long time between the dead click and the lock, but yours are absolute lightning.
I mean, also it's because I had the cock and tube moved over to the right side because I'm left-handed, and the way that I set up the hand stop and the vertical foregrip, my thumb's already over, or the webbing between my thumb and my forefinger is in between, like right where the cock and tube is. So as soon as I hear that click, I'm up and I charge the gun, lock it open, drop the mag, and I have an X on it and slap it down and follow through. So.
Now, we've talked about how challenging the stage was. How fun was it? How's your match experience overall at this point of the match?
I thought it was fun. I revel in suffering because I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute idiot. And the sideways wind and rain and storm clouds, instead of bringing me down, I rise to the occasion and I get fired up about it because I'm an idiot. So I had a blast.
I had fun. It was still, like I said, a little frustrating, but I wasn't very mentally defeated at this point yet. It was, I don't know. I enjoy shooting. Really, any even if you have a bad stage in a match, it's better than sitting at home playing video games. So there's that.
For me, this experience is like really eye-opening, seeing what the sports can be, and being a brand new shooter in the sport, it was very enlightening. It's like very humbling. It's just seeing how well other people perform, and seeing that in the future I may have more opportunities to participate. So, I mean, grand scheme, it's a great time for me.
At this point in the match, I was frustrated in my performance with the red dotted G36, but I was still having a blast, and you know, it was just fun to shoot on the clock, even though, you know, it's not necessarily being able to be competitive. It was absolutely thrilling, and I was a little disappointed at the kind of the weather calls, but I mean that it is what it is, and yeah.
For me, you know, I go to the events like this to have a different challenge than I can get at home in Arizona, and that's one thing that Parma Rod and Gun Club offers, is a lot of big open terrain stages, a lot of challenging shots. And in that regard, I really enjoy shooting these kind of stages, because if I'm going to shoot the same kind of stages somewhere else, I might as well stay at home. So I like the type of challenges we encounter at the matches up here. And one thing we really can't capture on video well is the camaraderie with the guys in our squad. I think we all had a great time hanging out, razzing each other, cheering each other on, all good-natured stuff. And it really is one of those things where the squad you're with at a match can completely change your match experience. You're with a squad of great guys, the match can suck, but you'll have a good time. If you're with a squad of the wrong people, it can be a miserable experience, even if it's a great match. So I think fortunately in this case, we had both a good match and a good group of people. So thank you for watching Stage 3 of High Desert 3-Gun 2019. There'll be more coverage of High Desert 3-Gun coming up in the future on InRange.
I don't know, man. I think Karl's going to end up getting executed by these guys. We're doing what we can, but the rest of this, I don't know.